Hi everyone. So my name is Nimuthu Siriwardana, and I am partnering up with Impact Tutory with regards to teaching you about history in English medium and doing my level best to prepare you for the upcoming exam, which hopefully will be in December. So history is a very exciting, to be honest, a lot of students do not consider it as a very exciting subject, as I know and as I've understood. History is, as I have heard and as I have observed amongst the students, is regarded as one of the most, unfortunately, it's one of the subjects which students are very much reluctant to learn. So however, when it comes to this class, I make sure that learning history is made fun. And I just try to make sure that every student here interacts with me and also ask questions. And in this history class, it will not only be history, but you can just also ask questions with regards to various other subjects, such as science, Sinhala, Buddhism, because I am all ears for you. You can ask any question from me except mathematics because I am not very good at it. So with regards to explaining to you about my qualifications, I am currently an undergraduate at the Faculty of Law, University of Colombo. I had 9 years for my O-levels, including A for history, and also I did history for my A-levels as well, where I actually got 3 A's, including an A for history. So history has been my passion, which is why I chose to teach history and not to be actually like a professional history teacher, but I am mainly doing this as since teaching is one of my passions as well. I'm here because there have been very inspiring teachers to me whom had showed to me a certain path in life, which I actually wanted to pursue. And I really like interacting with students. So with that, I would like to today, I actually was planning to explain to you about the structure of your paper because essentially, before we move on to understanding about the subject Aurelius, it is essential for us to know about what are the questions and what basically is the structure of your history paper. So this is the O-level 2019 paper. I don't know how many of y'all would know, but when it comes to history, it's relatively easier for you because your papers or your new syllabus starts from 2016 onwards. So if anyone wants to know from which year that you must start off your like in which point of time that you need to start doing your papers, that would be in from 2016 onwards. Because 2016 is a year where the education department revised the new syllabus. So you have 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, and 22. So you have 7 papers that you can actually go through. And in this class, we will be looking towards those 7 papers and trying to understand the questions and the type of the questions, the way they are being asked, and basically how to develop a solid answer. So once we go through this paper, I will walk you through with the structure. So as you all know, your paper has 2 parts, one being the MCQ and the second part being the essay type questions. So for the first part, you are being granted with 1 hour to answer. And in the second paper, you will be received with 3 hours to answer. So altogether, you will be received with 4 hours. So when it comes to the MCQ, in the MCQ paper, it will contain 4 answers, right? And then you have to choose the correct answer or the most appropriate answer. So this is something that most of the students, as I have understood, have had certain confusions about. For example, when you have a bulk of answers, there can be, sometimes amongst the pool of answers, only one can be absolutely correct. For example, if you get the first question, it's asked about with regards to what subject area that numismatics is studies. So numismatic is basically about the study of all the coins, right? So if you get all these three, or if you have studied the relevant area, you would understand that numismatic would mean all coins. But there can be other occasions where there can be two questions or two answers, two choices, which are very much similar. And they are more likely to be the answer. In such a situation, you have to choose the most appropriate answer. So that is simply, this is the foundation of your MCQ, the way that you should answer your MCQ. When it comes to the MCQ paper, you have to have a thorough knowledge about the entire syllabus. And well, at the earlier papers, they have actually they have gone from from grade 10 to grade 11 onwards. So meaning that you start from grade 10 first lesson, and then it gradually goes towards grade 11 and towards the end of the grade 11 syllabus as well. But what I have observed now, like the recent papers, they have all jumbled the questions. So therefore, you cannot actually expect this particular question is asked from this particular topic, because right now, as I have observed, this is not the case. So therefore, if you have a sound knowledge about almost all of the subject areas from each topic, then I can guarantee that you can score a good result in your MCQ paper. Remember that if you are scoring an A pass, you need to have I would usually say that if you have 35 plus for your MCQ, that is a guaranteed A. If you have a 30 plus, අපි කියන සාමාන්‍යයෙන් shape එකේ A කියලා. ඒ කියන්නේ you are not fully confirmed with your A pass, but you have, like shape එකේ කියලා කියන්නේ that you can be on the A zone depending on how good you perform in your second paper, right? So MCQ paper is a paper that determines your fate a lot, guys. For example, it gives you 40% of කෙලින්ම 100න් කෙලින්ම 40ක් ගෙඩි පිටින්ම දෙනවා. So therefore, if you confidently write your MCQ, I mean, your essay, you don't have to worry about your essay at all, right? So I'm just going to walk you through this. As you can see, there are different types. Sometimes it's a straightforward question and you have to choose, and then there are these information given and then questions being asked from that list. And also you have to cross certain answers and then to come up with the most appropriate or the correct answer. So this is basically the type of questions that they ask. At the end, they give a little bit of a confusing type of a question, which is like, which takes this form. For example, according to the above statement, what is a letter which includes a main objective exclamation in the farming settlement? So they give this list of questions and they ask what is the relation between A and B. Not in this case, but we would come across such questions when we discuss future papers. Right. So then we come to the most favorite part of most of the students, that is the part 2. And undoubtedly, the absolute favorite part, the most fun part of their paper would be your essay paper. And out of them, the most fun one would be your map, right? So the map is where almost all of the students come for the history classes, because as I've understood maps, I mean, when I was a student, I actually enjoyed doing maps a lot, but mostly I did maps all by myself. No offense, but a lot of schools actually do not cover the maps in the relevant or the most required amount. That is because that schools actually deal with a very limited time period. So they actually find it's difficult to cover almost all of the maps. But under the impact tutory, I would make sure that I cover all these maps, and it is to be informed to you that in the past, with this 2022 all-level batch, I was able to predict 7 areas out of the 18 areas, which is the local map and the foreign map. I was able to predict 7 places out of 18, which was actually my first prediction, which has gone well, as I have understood and based on the comments that I have received from my students. So maps, when it comes to maps, I know it's very much annoying, but still I will make sure that you would remember these places, and we will be marking so much of maps during the tenure of this class. So your map will have 18 places altogether, 12 places from the from Sri Lanka, and the rest 8 mostly based on I would say the Eastern Hemisphere. That is, if you get the Greenwich line, that is the part towards the right, meaning it includes Asia, Africa, and the Europe. So that is the zone where you would receive points from. You won't get points from the western part of the world, which is the Americas. Right. So then we go on to the next part, which we discuss about the pictorial questions, right? The part B includes about the pictures. So pictures is something that you actually have to understand by studying our textbook. They would always give you your pictures from a certain picture that is being provided in your textbook. Also remember, guys, textbook is your main reference. If you have thoroughly go through your textbook, and if you have written your answer based on what is being provided by the textbook, I can guarantee that you will never ever go wrong. You might have go to other teachers, you might have your own, like there are so much of short notebooks available in the bookshops. But remember that even if there's a certain fact that is contrary to the actual history that is being described in the textbook, mostly there aren't, assuming that there is, but still if you write that particular fact in your paper, they would actually give you marks because you have studied what is provided by the textbook, right? So therefore, always try to be in conformity with your textbook. So once you read your textbook thoroughly, you would identify various pictures like this. So this is a Galpotha, and this is the world not very famous, most infamous leader of the history of the world, that is Adolf Hitler. So they will be asking you questions based on these particular individuals or sometimes certain objects, right? And when it comes to part 2, part 2 has 4 questions. This is something that you obviously, I expect that you would know about this. But if you are getting to know this for the first time, I will just, I would keep you covered. So if you get the part 2, it will contain, I'm bad at math. So yes, so there are 9 questions, so meaning that there are 8 questions in part 2. And out of these, you all have to write 4 questions, right? So it says question number 1 is compulsory, right? Part 1 is compulsory, and answer 4 questions from part 2, and part 3 again ekai. So that's all together 6. So from part 2 you have to write 4, and from part 3 you have to choose 1, right? So when it comes to the part 2 of your paper, this is mainly based on Sri Lankan history, starting from the prehistoric era and also including the sources of studying history towards the 78 constitution, right? So their questions will be based on, it's a little bit difficult to predict of what will be the area that the questions would come from, but that is to be looked into with the previous questions that have been asked in the past. So therefore, if you get one particular question, it would have 4 parts, right? And sometimes they would have 5 parts, but mostly it would be 4 parts. So the part 1 will be short answer. You have to write the answer directly, short and sweet. So it says the first one, 3 forms of classifications. You write the 3 classifications. Then they might just give something like this. They have sometimes, I mean, not all the time, but sometimes they would provide a list and you have to choose and write the answer. So the next part would be the hardest part of this. That is the 2 essays that you have to write. Remember, for each essay question, you have to write 2 essays. One being about the, one will grant you with 5 marks and the other will grant you with 6 marks. So obviously you understand that the one that provides you with 6 marks is the one that you have to write most. And a lot of students ask me, okay, what is the quantity, sir? Sir, මේකට කොච්චරක් ලියන්න ඕනේද? පිටු කීයක් ලියන්න ඕනේද? කොහොමද ලියන්න ඕනේ? ඔක තමයි අහන ප්‍රශ්නේ. එතකොට මේකෙදි ගොඩක්ම අපි බලන්න ඕනේ මේ වචන මම කියන්නේ අපි සයිස් එක ගත්තොත් එහෙම ළමයින්ගේ අකුරු වෙනස්. හරි, සමහර අය ලියනවා කුරුමී නඩු වගේ අකුරු ලියනවා, සමහර අය ලොකු බෝල අකුරු ලියනවා. එතකොට බෝල අකුරු ලියන කට්ටිය යන පිටු ගන්න වැඩි කුරුමී නඩු ලියන කට්ටියට වඩා. එතකොට this is solely based on the quality of the answer. If your answer has a particular structure, if you have followed an order, and then if you have examples in your answer, if you have substantiated your points, you will be granted with 6 points, right? It is not always about the page number of pages, but it's always about the quality. Quality beats quantity, something that all of us. So here, obviously, you have to write more for the 6 marks question than the 5 marks question. So once you go through this, you would obviously understand by the end of this course, not actually by the end, but within the first 2 months of this course, you will be complete experts of how to write answers, because I have done that, and I can guarantee you that I can provide you with the maximum amount of, I would train you to get the maximum out of these essay questions. So it's a matter of fact, a simple practice that you need to do. Once you do questions over and over again, you would get very thorough in this. So then actually whatever the question that they would ask, you would obviously be able to answer it. And remember that don't be scared, because actually these essay questions are relatively easier than writing MCQs and other questions, because you have a massive scope and they always give like broad topics to write about. ලොකු ඒවා තමයි අහන්නේ. ඒක නිකන් චූටි දේවල් ගැන අහන්නේ නැහැ. ඒ ගැන නිකන් අනුරාධපුර තියෙන වෙස්සගිරිසිල් ලිපියේ තියෙන කන්ටෙන්ට් එක මොකක්ද? ඒ වගේ දේවල් අහන්නේ නැහැ. හරි? They actually would ask a broad question. So therefore, ඔයාලට චූටි knowledge එකක් තිබ්බනම් මොන හරි වචන ටිකක් ගලපලා ලස්සන උත්තරයක් ලියා ගන්න පුළුවන් නම් still you will be able to get marks. So therefore, essays වලට don't be worried. We will be practicing them throughout the course. And that's how it works. And then you come to the part 3. So in part 3, they will be asking questions from European history or world history. So all දන්නවා European history වලට තියෙන පාඩම් ටිකක් තියෙනවා. එකක් තමයි Renaissance. That is the 8th lesson of grade 10. And ආයෙ තියෙන මොකද්ද? grade 11 වල first lesson. That is about the Industrial Revolution. ආයෙ තියෙන්නේ අන්තිම පාඩම set එක. That is about the revolutions, right? There's American Revolution, French Revolution, Russian Revolution, and those three. So the American, French, Russian Revolution. Yeah, we don't have British Revolution, right? So okay, apologies. Then we come to the last lesson, which is about the World War. And World War is, as I believe, the most favorite topic or most favorite lesson of all students, because I mean it's very fun, right? I mean, I actually got this book when I was in grade 10. Yeah, when I was in grade 10, I received this textbook. I actually, as soon as I was received with this book, I actually went through those lessons, and honestly, the truth to be told, I actually read the last lesson, which was about the 2 world wars. It is that exciting, and I'm pretty sure students are very much interested, and in some classes actually did not cover this, or rather didn't teach this part, because students were very much familiar with the facts, and they were even able to answer the questions without without me guiding them to how to write an answer. So therefore, the last lesson is obviously a very easy answer, very easy question to write. So you only had to choose, unfortunately, one question out of these two. So that is how it works. That is how your structure of the paper is being made. And right, so when it comes to understanding the paper, you, as I mentioned, so for the first part, you will be given 80 marks. That is 40 into 2. That is 80. And for your essay paper, which is part 2, paper 2, for that you will be given 120 marks. That is 60 into 2. So that is your paper will be marked out of 200. And then once it's been marked by 200, it will be divided into 2. That is how your final result will be given. So that is basically how or what is your paper and how it looked like, right? So history is not actually hard subject. It is, I believe that why most of the students are reluctant to study or simply absolutely bored to learn about history is because it's being taught in the most boring way possible. History has own stories, right? It is our, I would say that we essentially should know our roots. Even though history shouldn't be a subject, at some times some argue that history, it actually shouldn't be a subject in the first place, because what do we gain from this by learning history? But I, as a firm believer, would say that we should know it, because it is, as a citizen, it is our right and a duty to know, like, how are we here? What were the things that happened in the past and which made us to carry ourselves here? And what were the sacrifices made by our ancestors? Because learning about them is essentially the least we can do for them, like the least gratitude that we can do for them. So people might have different opinions about it, but that is what I personally have. So if you, in order to love our country, love our nation, love our heritage, it is essential to know our roots. So that is one of the major reasons why, as a student who was done with my A levels, I wanted to start off these history classes and teach students, just to make sure that I cause an impact in their lives by cultivating at least something that is valuable, or rather will be valuable for them in the future when they aspire and when they carry themselves in the ladder of success. So with that, I would like to wrap up this particular recording. So I hope that the ones who are interested to join the class will join through the impact tutoring to my class. And also, apart from the impact tutoring, I do conduct group classes that is at Academy of History, which is an organization that is being founded by myself. So you can get my contact number through the organizers, and you can always contact me, and I'm available most of the time of the day. Thank you very much.